Our viewers and listeners that the general security situation remains calm and peaceful countrywide. Our operations in Karamoja against Karamojong warriors who are illegally holding guns jointly with the UPDF continue. We are also still closely monitoring our border at Bunagana, and we want to inform you that at Bunagana border point the security situation is calm. Of course, there are still concerns between the M23 rebels and the DRC military, that is FADC. The good part of it is that M23 has avoided our borderline because of the hot pursuit that we gave them when they tried or attempted to come close to the Ugandan border. So they have avoided the borderline in fear of contact with the UPDF. About 9,302 asylum seekers are being protected by the police and UPDF at Nyakabande Refugee Transit Center. Some of the residents on the other side of DRC, Bunagana, normally cross over during the night to the Ugandan side, and then in the morning they cross back to go and tender to their gardens and check on their homes. Basically that. Now we want to start by uploading security for effectively securing the funeral ceremony events and the burial ceremony of the Right Honorable Jacob Olanya. So our leadership, that is the CDF, IGP, Commissioner General of Prisons, have come out to thank all security personnel, those who provided security and safety at Parliament, Muyenga, at Kololo, and at the ancestral grounds, that is in Olarogi in Omoro. So it was all done in a very honorable way, and because of their diligence, hard work and determination, the entire ceremonial activities, prayers and burial processes was a great success. We didn't register any incident of security concern, and this was made due to the thorough security and threat analysis that we conducted at all venues. So we are therefore happy that everyone who participated in paying their last respects to the Honorable Jacob Olanya managed to do so safely and also returned home safely. We are expecting more school children for holidays this week. Some of the school children got their holidays last week, and we found it important as security to come up with a few tips on how to keep school children safe and secure during the holidays. As you're aware, school children are back for their holidays. More are expected this week. Much as the school holiday is a joyous time, it is also a time where parents, guardians, caretakers, local leaders need to be extra cautious about the safety of children in their homes, in the neighborhoods, and as they go traveling and visiting. Therefore, as the holidays begin, it's important to remember that protecting children is a priority. Some of the tips we want to issue to especially parents and guardians is for them to discuss boundaries with children during this holiday, because you will find that the holiday period brings about additional friends and family members. So you find there are some who want to come very close to the children, hugging them, playing with them, tickling them. Others want the children to sit on their laps. And so it is important to empower children to say no to unwanted touches, pictures, favors by adults or other children. The second area that we want to give to parents is to pay attention to signs of child abuse. Many times, adults disregard feelings from children, especially when a family member or a trusted friend or someone they think will never harm their child is accused by the child victim. The truth is that about 90% of children are sexually abused by someone they know and someone whom the family knows. Additionally, abuse can also happen at the hands of another child. So we need to be alert to relationships and activities between children when they come back at home. Then a lot of children tend to keep or to hold on to secrets. We need to empower our children and teach them how to avoid keeping secrets. Secrets are often the way abusers keep children silent, claiming it is their secret. So explaining to children that secrets are usually about something unsafe or bad is important during this holiday period. Another area is parents should limit one-on-one situations. Alone time between your child and another adult should be limited, if possible, where you cannot at least find ways of making interruptions and making observations or even dropping at home unannounced. One-on-one time between children provides an opportunity for inappropriate behaviors. One-on-one time between a child and an adult also accounts greatly for sexual abuse and other forms of abuse. And then it's also important to keep track of our children when they are going out of the home. Take time to find out where your children are going. Some of the children want to tell lies so that they get excuses. So it's important to ring in advance or upfront where they claim to be going, and you make confirmation on the other side. And finally, make sure your child knows your cell number. This is very important. The third area that we want to talk about is the summons that are going to be issued to speculations over the former Speaker's death. As you are all aware, the cause of death of the Right Honourable Gilbert Olanya was clearly revealed as arising out of multiple organ failure of the heart, the lungs, the liver, and kidney from the University of Washington Medical Center in Seattle, that is in USA. But it's also important for people to note that the former Speaker also attended other hospitals in Germany, the Uganda Cancer Institute here in Uganda, and other hospitals after he was diagnosed with cancer way back in the year 2019. From all these hospitals, there was no trace of poison that was traced according to the medical records that have been availed to us. Therefore, any other cause of death beyond these medical records is a dangerous speculation that must be avoided. The news of apparent poisoning of the late Right Honourable Gilbert Olanya has continued to produce debates by some politicians and not so many family members, but majorly the father. But the public should know that in all deaths by poisoning, the identification of poisonous substances is vital, and the presence of poison in the system, in the circulation of the body, and the body organs must be proven. From the medical records that we have so far obtained, there was no presence of poison in the systematic circulation and or body organs. The deceased was treated in hospitals in Uganda, Germany, and the US under constant supervision, with numerous samples being taken regularly for analysis. All the samples did not offer any clues for poisoning. So we are therefore summoning all those persons with other causes of death, including poisoning, for further interview and statement recording. These will include Honorable Godfrey Kiwanda. He also mentioned Honorable Chris Baryomunsi. We have Honorable Gilbert Olanya, Honorable Santa Okot, Honorable Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, Bosmic Otim, mzee Okori Nathan, selected cultural and local leaders, and several other bloggers. We want them to provide us with a chain of evidence regarding that other cause of death, of poisoning that they allege. If they have evidence of how the crime of poisoning was committed, they should provide that information to us beyond reasonable doubt. By whom, how the poison was acquired, proof of access to the victim, whether directly or indirectly, any parallel certificates of death, to mention but a few. So the file of offensive communication is ongoing at CID headquarters in Chibuli. We also now have concerns where robbers are targeting petrol stations, and we need to call upon the proprietors of petrol and fuel stations to up their security. This increase about this common crime tactic perpetrated by robbers on fuel stations has occurred in around 4 different petrol stations. The robbers target unsuspecting petrol stations at night between 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. when there is a total quiet, especially where there is no vigilance. These disguise as clients branching to refuel their vehicles, and they end up rounding up the private security guards and other night staff, including pump attendants. They quickly tie them up, look for cash and other valuables, then drive off in a few minutes. Why petrol stations are targeted is simply because most of them are open till late and not aware of their surroundings, and thus making it convenient for robbers. For instance, on the 10th of April at around 3 a.m., our flying squad unit picked intelligence of an attack on Nesta petrol station located in Vuyogerere. We laid a trap, and indeed at around 3 a.m. a group of about 8 thugs traveling in a Mercedes van, registration number UAN 897N, branched to buy fuel. As anticipated, they attacked the private security guard and the pump attendants with the intention of robbing cash, tires from the store, as well as fuel. It is at that stage that our teams responded, shot at them and injured 2, and also arrested the driver. We managed to impound the van as well. So far we have 3 suspects. 2 are guarded at Murago, and the driver is also in our custody. Another attack occurred on the 10th of April at 2 a.m. That is at Nesta Fuel Pump, which is located at Wamba Alesel, that is along Matuga Semoto Road One of the occupants who had branched to pick fuel jumped out of the car and hit Wetaka Samuel, a private security guard from Hearts Security, on the head, and then they disarmed him of his gun. They quickly entered the supermarket, which was open at around 2 a.m., and tried the workers who were on the night shift before grabbing 2,237,000 other valuables from the supermarket. They fueled their vehicle up to a tune of 42 liters worth 215,000. They also destroyed the CCTV system and fled from the scene. So our police officers at Jagala Police Post were alerted after the thugs had already escaped, but we are tracing for them. We are also tracing for the second security guard called Ekino Patrick, who disappeared from the petrol station immediately during the attack. There was also another attack that occurred in Luwero, that is at Atusa Filling Station, located at Kalule Trading Center, where a group of armed thugs, about 6 in number, attacked this petrol station at 2:50 a.m. So you can imagine all the attacks have been between 2 to 4 a.m. They hacked one of the guards called Ngoya Francis, killing him instantly, and they seriously injured his colleague called Singura Ronald. Both guards were attached to Safetech Security Company Limited. They also robbed the gun with the 2 ammunitions. So they stole an unspecified amount of money from the safe, and it is something that our flying squad unit is also pursuing. We managed to rush the injured victim to Singura Ronald to Bombo Military Hospital, where he is undergoing treatment. These thugs abandoned the gun a distance of about 2 kilometers. Another such kind of attack also occurred towards the end of last month, that is at Line Petrol Station at Namayumba Town Council, where they stole 8.5 million, destroyed the CCTV camera system, and robbed the gun from a private security guard of SPC Protectorate. So we are warning proprietors, staff and private guards at all fuel stations to be on the lookout. Without proper security, their businesses are at risk. The good part of it is such kind of robberies can be prevented if appropriate precautions are put in place. For instance, most of the private security guards at petrol stations are not very, very alert. The moment you branch at a petrol station, you'll find a private security guard, instead of positioning himself tactically, you find him approaching the vehicle that is drawing fuel and even conversing as if he's a customer care officer. That is very dangerous because it puts you in harm's way. Then there are also lone deployments of private security guards. At night you find them in the full view of the security lights. Everybody can get to see them. And so we're encouraging proprietors of petrol stations to help prevail over their private guards. If they see somebody walking towards them, they need really to halt and at least make some inquiries. stop the person who is approaching you. What is he looking for at that time when the pump attendant is around, when there are attendants in the supermarket? Because the first target is the private security guard. It's also always important to remove cash from the petrol station. Most of these thugs gather enough information on the cash handling procedures at the targeted businesses. We've encouraged again and again that all business premises should have alarm bells or alarm systems, so that if any such kind of attack happens, an alarm can get to go off and alert the persons in the neighborhood, including the security personnel. For those who don't have sufficient security personnel or mechanisms, it is better for them to lock their petrol stations during those late hours if security is not sufficient, other than putting the business and the personnel at risk. Now we continue with our crackdown operations on panga-wielding attacks and robbers. Our joint security agencies within Kampala Metropolitan have arrested a total of 178 suspects actively involved in armed attacks with pangas, iron bars in the areas of Namungona, Nansana, Chengera, Kawempe and Kasangati. In Nsangi Chengera, a total of 70 suspects highly involved in the recent attacks and robberies were arrested. Nansana Division, we arrested 22. Old Kampala 77, Kasangati 9. The team in Chengera and Nsangi started by arresting a notorious panga-wielding assailant called Semgenyi Rashid, 28-year-old, casual worker and resident of Natete, Kutano, who managed to lead us. We found him with house-breaking implements, 2 iron bars, a torch, and 4 bunches of keys, and other clothes that he usually changes after the mission. He managed to lead us to their hideouts in Chinawa, Kolokolo, Kauku Road, and Bengazi, where we arrested 64 suspects. Other suspects were arrested from Nabingo and Soweto, Chengera, where we recovered several exhibits of pangas, TVs, knives, wooden bars with pointed nails, hammers, opium, among others. The good thing is that we have 9 of the ringleaders. 6 of the ringleaders are from the Greens criminal gang. There is a criminal gang called the Greens, which is applies its criminal activities in Kolokolo, that is Chinawa Chengera Town Council. Amongst the 9 ringleaders, 6 belonged to this group, and amongst those arrested we have Serunjoji Fred, alias Yellowbird, Semanda Derek, alias Inspector, Serunkuma Arnold, known as DJ, Kato Donovan, known as Mugongo, Asimwe Alan, and Semgenyi Rashid. The other 3 leaders from Chengera, Soweto, who were arrested include Semakula Umaru, Sendagire Brian, and Sennoga Barak, who is the chairperson. But the overall gang leader, who is still on the run, is called Sula Muhammad, and we are actively searching for him in all corners. There is also Deoliso Walusimbi Jr. amongst those. In Nansana, the 22 suspects we arrested were in connection with panga-wielding attacks in the LC1 villages of Chigoma, Masitowa, Ganda, Nansana West, and Naweru North. Amongst the notorious persons arrested, there is Chizito Hassan, Simbwa Hassan, Sembawa Hakim, Nwamanya Nelson, and Benomgisha Fred. The 77 arrested under Old Kampala Division, 63 have been charged to court, and they have already been remanded. Then in Kasangati, we have 9 suspects who were behind the attacks around Chitoma Tugga, then Buramu zone in Kasangati, and Kasangati Town Council. So in our screening, we noticed that most of the burglars and robbers are young men between 18 to 24 years, whose motivation is economic gain, because their target is basically cash. They also target phones, electronics like TVs and other smaller valuables. And then there are those who are also doing it out of excitement. That when they go into these homes, they find lone women whom they sexually assault, and they go about to their robbery act. But we want to thank the community, the local leaders, the mayor of Chengera and Sanji for really coordinating their activities with the police. We've carried out expansive community policing drives with the local leaders in Chengera as well as Namungona. The next community policing drive by the KMP commander is going to take place in Nansana division. This helps us to constantly evaluate our efforts in restoring security and safety in these communities. It also helps us to get feedback and even improve the level of alertness by the community. There are certain guidelines, like having an alarm bell. An alarm bell is not very expensive, it is affordable. So we call upon the public, get these alarm bells and install them. Then there are also CCTV cameras that you can, I talked about it this the other time, that you can conceal, not the visible one that you put at the gate, at the wall, but there are those other types that you can conceal within the premises, and it only sends the pictures and footages to you, so the robbers cannot be able to determine those ones. So, security precautions such as installation of burglar alarms and alarm bells, hiring security guards, having contacts of the nearest police unit is very, very crucial. With our community mobilization drives to ensure that we improve the level of alertness and vigilance within the communities. We also want to thank the police in Wamala and Mubende. They managed to impound a motor vehicle that was being used in carrying out broad day robberies in Mubende. This incident we are talking about involved a group of 4 thugs in camouflage suits, jackets. They were traveling in a motor vehicle registration number UAR 906B, and as early as 11 a.m. they raided a trading center called the Mulete Trading Center, and they started openly attacking businessmen in shops, robbing cash and electronics like TVs. They were carrying hoofers. They even carried crates of beer. One of the border riders called Agaba Muhammad was attacked and hit with an iron bar. We rushed him to hospital at Mubende Regional Referral Hospital. Good enough. He was discharged. But when we gave a chase to this vehicle, we impounded it. We managed to intercept it at a place called Chisekende. That is along Kampala Fort Portal Road. And then the suspect so far in our custody is called Mwesige Alonso. He's a mechanic. We managed to recover all the exhibits apart from the motorcycle that they had robbed from Morete Trading Center. Then here in our police in Wakiso has 3 suspects in custody for the aggravated defilement of a male juvenile. And we want to start by greatly thanking social workers. There's a social worker who visited one of the schools. She's called Kutesa Esther. She had a sensitization meeting on child abuse. And one of the parents told her how she had a son who was being sexually abused by 2 men and also an elderly woman. All this happened during the month of March, that was last month, where one of the neighbors called Sendaula Moses would send this this 7-year-old male juvenile to go and buy for him greens. When the boy would come back, he would invite him in the house and then smear his anus with the jelly and then perform unlawful sexual acts on this male juvenile. He did it on more than 5 different occasions, giving the boy 2,000 shillings. Sometimes he would give the boy a coin of 500. Now, the painful part of it is that when Sendaula was absent, since they stayed within the same block, another suspect called Kanyerezi Ibrahim would also take this young boy to his room and have unlawful canon knowledge with him using the same method. In addition, we have a 52-year-old woman called Namsisi Victoria. Would also send the victim to fetch for her water, and then invite this young 7-year-old into her bedroom and remove the clothes and then start having sex with the young juvenile at 52 years. So she would also pay this boy 1,000 or 2,000 and did it several times. So we have all these 3 suspects in our custody. We have Sendaula Moses, who is a 30-year-old resident of Nakuwade village in Wakiso. He's a painter. We have Kanyerezi Ibrahim, a software engineer, and Namsisi Victoria, a 53-year-old businesswoman dealing in second-hand clothes at Nakwat. They will all be charged with aggravated defilement. There were 2 incidents of child homicide, and wherever we have incidents of young children being murdered, it is very, very painful, really. Because these are young children who still have long lives to actually live. One such painful incident happened in Vujiri. where one Wandera Sharif, 70-year-old, together with Gorosula, a 60-year-old, went to pick peas in the garden of Badru of Nankon. Basically that. Now we want to start by applauding security for effectively securing the funeral ceremony events and the burial ceremony of the Right Honorable Jacob Olanya. So our leadership, that is the CDF, IGP, Commissioner General Prisons, have come out to thank all security personnel, those who provided security and safety at Parliament, Muyenga, at Kololo, and at the ancestral grounds, that is in Ralogi in Omoro. So it was all done in a very honorable way, and because of their diligence, hard work, and determination, the entire ceremonial activities, prayers, and burial processes was a great success. We didn't register any incident of security concern, and this was made due to the thorough security and threat analysis that we conducted at all venues. So we are therefore happy that everyone who participated in paying their last respects to the Honorable Jacob Olanya managed to do so safely and also returned home safely. We're expecting more school children for holidays this week. Some of the school children got their holidays last week, and we found it important as security to come up with a few tips on how to keep school children safe and secure during the holidays. As you're aware, school children are back for their holidays. More are expected this week. Much as the school holiday is a joyous time, it is also a time where parents, guardians, caretakers, local leaders need to be extra cautious about the safety of children in their homes, in the neighborhoods, and as they go traveling and visiting. Therefore, as the holidays begin, it's important to remember that protecting children is a priority. Some of the tips